Iceland's government is allegedly currently facing a collapse over an issue involving distrust. Now, the Prime Minister of Iceland failed to disclose the fact that his father signed a letter of recommendation that allowed a convicted pedophile to receive restored honor. Now, Iceland's justice system is very different from the United States. This convicted pedophile would essentially have his record expunged if he could receive 3 letters of recommendation, which claim that his character is actually great. And the Prime Minister's father actually signed one of those letters. And now people are upset because this convicted pedophile is actually pretty terrible. And the fact that the Prime Minister's father helped him get his record expunged concerns people. Now, the party blamed Benediktsson, he is the Prime Minister of Iceland, for failing to inform the government that his father wrote a letter recommending a pardon for this convicted pedophile. His name is Hauksson, and he was convicted back in 2004 of raping his stepdaughter almost daily for 12 years, starting when she was only 5 years old. Now, Haukson's victim described the pardon as surreal and said he continues to harass her in text messages and phone calls. Now, how did this lead to the government collapsing? Well, according to reports, the centrist Bright Future Party dropped out of the 3-party conservative coalition, eliminating its 1-seat parliamentary majority. Benediktsson called for a snap election on Friday as protesters gathered near the parliament building in the city's posh downtown area. Now, the election is scheduled for October 28th. The story is insane.
Yeah, well, there's so much going on there. I mean, first of all, in any kind of universe where a pedophile has record expunged or even given any kind of pass, I mean, it's just, it's horrifying. I mean, it's the one area I think that has become a place where people can skate who should be burning in hell. You know, they've skated in the church, they've skated in athletics. I mean, this happens all around, and in many communities, now's not the time. But many communities that we look up to and revere, they're often cloistered communities. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in there, but because they're cloistered and they seem quaint from the outside, we give them a pass. Anyway, this is horrifying. But my point is simply in mentioning those other examples that I just feel as though this is, for some reason, maybe it's because it's kids who don't have a voice that for whatever reason resonates with people the same way these powerful men, in this case, a very powerful man does. Maybe that's why it's so wrong that it makes your skin crawl. Yeah,
it's beyond wrong. And we're critical of the justice system here in the US because it's so overly punitive and doesn't focus on rehabilitating people so they can go back into society and be productive members of society. But the fact that in other countries you can have your record expunged if you're a convicted pedophile, if you've raped someone for years, every single day, you can have your record expunged just based on letters of recommendation. By the way, this convicted pedophile served 6 years in prison. I mean, I don't think that's enough if he is now able to harass his victim. And that's what his victim is alleging, that he is now harassing her and this pardon has, destroyed her peace of mind. And no one should have to deal with that.
No, and it's really all about the victim. I mean, once the guy gets out, it should all be about the victim. So there should be, in this country, we'd have a restraining order, right? So that person can't communicate with the victim in any way. That person can't go near the victim physically in any way. I mean, this would all be sort of baked into the release. And that person would have to be checking in with the parole officer or whomever regularly. Instead, it's just the opposite. As Anna says, this guy's, lighting her up, just harassing her because he's pissed off that he had to serve 6 years after he raped her again. And this is stuff that he has pled to. This is stuff that he's admitted to.
Yeah, he raped her for 12 years, starting it from when she was 5 years old. It's just crazy. Another thing I just wanted to quickly make a comment on is how there was swift action. As soon as this information was put out there and it was reported, people protested, they took to the streets. Members of his party, stepped down because of the distrust that this led to.
And that's one of the reasons the coalition disintegrated.
The coalition, exactly. So that's the reason why, the government in Iceland is kind of, I don't want to say it's in shambles. I mean, it's being reported as collapsing, but there will be an election on October 28th in response to what just occurred. And it's just fascinating stuff. It's just so different from, what we experience and hear about here in the United States. And I wish there was better reporting about it in the US, because I think it matters. We're all tied together in some way, and to know what's going on in Iceland, I think is important and relevant.
Yeah, no, and we have a history here of again, particularly under the umbrella of religion, letting a lot of people get away with a lot of stuff, and this is not so different.
Help us build independent media together. Come join us, tytnetwork.com/join.